Hello there, welcome back to my channel. This is Louise from Louise's Lifestyle, and today we're looking at two things. The results of the propagation, or how to propagate cuttings. I did a video back about a month ago on propagating a Cestrum Nocturnum plant, and also we'll be looking at the results of the chili seeds that I sowed I think it was on the 18th or 17th of January. So talk about the Cestrum Nocturnum. For those of you who don't know what that plant is, I'll show you here. So this is the plant, and it's called Cestrum Nocturnum, or also known as Raat, rani, which roughly translates as Queen of the Night, and it is a night blooming jasmine. Has very small trumpet-like flowers, very fragrant, and they only sort of transmit that fragrance at night, hence the name Queen of the Night. So back a month ago I thought I'd do an experiment to see which medium would be the best for propagating this particular plant. The experiment was not aimed at every single type of plant, you know, what's the best medium for all cuttings, because different plants react differently, and some take better than others. So the cuttings I took were roughly about this size and sort of semi-hard wood. They weren't like from the top, which the growth here is quite soft and bendy. So I took my cuttings, I took 4 from around the base actually of this plant. So the medium that I used for the cuttings were perlite, water, soil or compost, and sphagnum moss. It was the first time I've been using sphagnum moss in this way. Tell a lie, I had been using sphagnum moss for another plant I've recently done a video on, and that was the philodendron verrucosum, and I did successfully manage to get the plant to root after it had suffered root rot, and I'd killed off whatever roots it had already got. So I managed to successfully now regrow those roots in sphagnum moss, and it has worked for that particular plant, the philodendron verrucosum. However, you can't assume that one type of medium will be, you know, will solve will be the solution for all plant cuttings. So this is why I've used different mediums for this experiment. So I've got the pots here. Now 3 unfortunately died and only 1 survived, so 3 out of 4 were a failure. This one here, I wonder if you can guess what this was. This was the sphagnum moss. So the plant, within a week of it being in here, sphagnum moss was nice and wet. I gave it a little spritz of rooting hormone. Didn't work, unfortunately. So that's that one. The second one was compost, the coir compost. So completely died off, you know, plenty of water in there. I had a little dab of rooting hormone. Unsuccessful. So those 2 died within about a week of me putting them in there. And this was the last to die. You can see at the bottom there. And this was the water one. And it hung on for a couple of weeks, and then it just, one day the leaves just completely shriveled and it was dead. And there was water in there. No signs of rooting at all. So disappointed. I thought the water might have been the best one. So, drum roll. Here's the only one that survived, and that is the perlite. I'll just take it out of the perlite and I will just show you. So you can see you've got some nice roots on there. Hopefully I can get that in focus. If I can knock some of the perlite off, we might be able to see better. So it's got some good roots there, nice healthy white roots. And you can see the type of cutting I used was, this is sort of semi-hardwood. It's not very bendy. Well, it's not bendy here. It might be a little bit there, but it's quite firm. So, success with the perlite. So I know in future, if I want to take more cuttings of this plant, then I will just pop them in perlite and just leave them to it. Basically, you add water to the perlite, and so obviously it's got to have moisture, you know, otherwise it will die. So it's not just perlite on its own, it's perlite and water. So yeah, pleased with that. As I said, not every plant will take to perlite. There are some plants that you can readily propagate in water. I can think of outdoor plants like fuchsias. Fuchsias take very well. You just break them off and pop them in water, and within a week you've got roots. Geraniums as well, or yeah, just take little tip cuttings and you pop them in water and they will root, you know, very, very easily. So water, I wouldn't write that off. Just because it didn't work for this plant doesn't mean it won't be successful for other plants cutting. And some as well in soil. You know, I've rooted many plants directly into compost, but they tend to be mainly the ones that I've got outdoors, you know, outdoor hardy perennial plants. So that's the propagation experiment. If you haven't seen that video, if you scroll back through there, I think it was about a month ago, propagating from cuttings, I think that was the title. You can see how I started off that experiment. So now I'm looking back over here, and my other experiment, well, not really an experiment, I popped some chili seeds in just over a week ago. I think it was about 8-9 days ago that I did this. And if you scroll through my videos, January 2021, the chili seed sowing one. So I've got them here, and I'm going to lift up the one that popped out first. And these, so there's a good many of them in there. Don't know what that brown stuff, oh, so I'm just wondering what that was. I could see on camera. These are the rocket chilies, and if you haven't seen that video, these were like a supermarket chili. They're pretty long, a cayenne type, that I'd literally taken out of the bag, and it was kind of red to start with, but the rest of the chilies in the packet were green, and it was a nice heat to it, nice long chili. And so I decided to let that ripen, and it did. It just ripened on the table, and it dried, you know, it sort of became crinkly, and I literally just sprinkled the seeds on there. And actually these popped up a couple of days ago, so I think we call it 6 days it's taken to germinate these. I've had them on, I've started them off on the radiator, and then I just thought I'd put them in my propagator because there isn't much going on in there. Propagator's heating at the bottom. I've taken away the grow lights. I'm not using those anymore because I had some plants in there that weren't doing too good with grow lights, so I just switched them off. So these are just getting daylight, natural daylight, and I've now taken them out of the propagator. Once the plants have come through, they don't need to be in a heated environment. You can just, I just have mine on the window ledge there. So that's the rocket chilies. And then The second ones to come through, I think these came a day after, were these, and these are the Tiny Dragon. So these are the very, very, very small chilies. My daughter got those for me as a present. It was on a little plant, and they were really hot, those chilies. And I did a little bit of background searching on them, and they call them mouse dropping chilies. The name on the label of the plants that I got said dragon, Thai dragon. I just added tiny to it because there are lots of chilies named Thai dragon. So I've just put on mine Thai tiny, so I can differentiate, you know, that these are the very, very small chilies. So a lot of those have popped up there. So that will join the rocket chilies and stay on my window ledge, I should say. Then the next ones to come through were, yes, these are the Naga, my Naga butts. So these are not the Nagas that are small, that are a kind of wedge shape, and they're like a sort of a darker green. These tend to be, when they're unripe, they're quite a long chili. They are the Naga family, very, very, very hot, but bigger. They're much bigger and they're much longer. And when they are in the unripe state, they're sort of a lighter green, a pale green. Then they turn orange and then red. So those are the Naga butts. So they're going on the window ledge as well. And what I'll do is, when they get a little bit bigger, I'll just scoop them out and put them in their own individual cups like this. And then the next ones to come through, they're just starting to come through. These could do with going back in the propagator, and I can wait for the rest to come up. And these are the Budapest chilies. And if I'll sort of recap the story. My daughter's friend, his father is a musician, should say, and he was touring with an orchestra in Budapest back in 2014, and he came back with these chilies from Budapest, so they're called Budapest chilies for that reason. And so they're 7 years old, I think. Yeah, 21. Yeah, so that's 7 years old. Sorry, mine wasn't working there. So 7-year-old chili seeds have germinated, and I reckon there's going to be a few more popping up. So I'm going to pop these back in the propagator, because you can see the loops there, and I know I've planted quite a few in here. So I'm going to put these back in the propagator and let them all come through. So Budapest chilies, well done. For the oldest ones, the oldest seeds I've got that have germinated within a short time frame. And then these are my lemon drop chilies. And look at the date on there, 2018. Now, you may have seen in that video, if you've watched it, that I planted some fresh lemon drop, or RG lemon as they're called, proper name. And these haven't come up at all. These are fresh from 2020. I had a nice RG lemon plant, lots of pods on there. I just took the fresh pods off and took the seeds out, let them dry out for a day or two, and these are the ones that I've planted in there. They haven't popped up, but these are the much older ones. Well, not much older, but 2018, and they're just starting to pop up now. So there are some more. I've sprinkled a fair number in there, and so these, I think I will put these back in so more can germinate. So I will be putting some of those back in. I think I might put that one back in, the Naga butts. I think there may be some more in there that will pop up. So 4 lots I will put back in the propagator and see what happens. But I wanted to update everyone who was interested in the chilies. I know somebody made a comment on that previous video, how long does it take? So now you've got your answer. Now you know how long it takes. It's taken me. Depends on how you grow your seeds, what you're using. I would go for a fine sort of potting mix and light and airy, and have bottom heats. Put some cling film over the top. Once you've got them poking through, you need to take the cling film off. So I won't be putting cling film on top of these now, because you're going to restrict you know, the growth of the chilies seeds, the seedlings I should say. You don't want them to sort of like touch the top of the cling film. But initially put some cling film over it, and then if you've got somewhere like a radiator, pop them on top of there. You know, have a sort of container like, you know, that. Pop them on there. These won't be going back on there. They'll just go in the propagator, and I won't cover them. So if you are planning to grow your chilies, bottom heat. You don't have to have overhead lights for germination. Once your seeds have popped out, a windowsill where you get plenty of light, preferably a southeast facing one. You don't want them near a window that's constantly being opened and closed, because you're going to get drafts coming in. Just somewhere out of drafts, reasonably warm, plenty of light. So that's the conclusion of today's video. Hope you liked it, everyone. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do hit the thumbs up, hit the like button, and please share with your friends. So thank you for watching, everyone. Take care. Bye bye.